You wake up on the ceiling. This is, you will come to learn, a bad sign. You don't remember dying, which feels like the kind of detail you should have been present for. There's no tunnel of light, no dramatic final breath, no closure. One moment you are reaching for the TV remote. The next, you're staring down at your own living room from a height you have never occupied before, and there's a body on the couch that is unmistakably, horrifyingly still holding the remote. You try to scream, nothing comes out. You try to move, you simply do. No legs required, apparently, which is efficient but deeply unsettling. The paramedics arrive 40 minutes later. You watch them zip your body into a bag with the same casual efficiency of someone packing lunch. Nobody looks up. Nobody senses you. You are, it turns out, completely and totally alone in a room full of people for the first time in your entire existence, and it is somehow worse than being alone in an empty one. You spend the first 3 days learning the rules, mostly through trial and horrifying error. You can pass through walls, but only if you're not thinking too hard about it. The one time you concentrate, you get stuck halfway through the drywall for 11 minutes, half your face in the hallway, half in the bathroom, which is not a position you'd wish on anyone, living or dead. You cannot touch anything, except occasionally at 3 a.m. for reasons no one, least of all you, can explain. You can flicker a light bulb. This becomes your entire personality within a week. Here's what nobody warns you about being a ghost. It's incredibly boring. You expected chains. You expected moaning. Instead, you mostly just watch your family eat dinner and desperately wish you could tell them the milk expired 3 days ago. Your family, it turns out, sells the house fast. Faster than feels emotionally appropriate, honestly. Within 2 months, there are strangers moving boxes through your living room, and you are forced to accept the deeply unfair reality that you don't get a say in real estate decisions anymore, despite technically still living there. The new family is a couple, Mara and Theo, and their cat, who notices you immediately, which is somehow more upsetting than being ignored. The cat stares directly at the spot where you're standing every single day at exactly 6 p.m., hisses once, and walks away. You've tried everything to make friends with this cat. The cat wants nothing to do with you. This is, you decide, the single most personal rejection of your afterlife. Mara starts noticing things within the first month. The light bulb flickering, cold spots by the stairs, a door that swings shut on its own, which, to be fair, was actually just the wind, but you'll take credit for anything at this point because being invisible and irrelevant is doing terrible things for your ego. Then, one night, Mara sits up in bed at 2 a.m., stares directly at the corner of the room where you happen to be standing, and says, calmly, "I know you're there." You freeze. You have never been more thrilled or more terrified in your entire existence, alive or dead. It turns out Mara has always been able to sense spirits, a fact she reveals over the next several weeks with the enthusiasm of someone finally getting to use a skill nobody ever asked about at parties. She can't see you clearly. Just a shape, a pressure, a feeling like someone's standing slightly too close in an elevator. You try, desperately, to communicate. You spend 4 hours one night attempting to spell out your name using refrigerator magnets, which sounds simple and is, in fact, an absolute nightmare when you cannot physically touch a single magnet and can only nudge them with something you can only describe as concentrated will. You get through 2 letters before giving up entirely. Mara starts talking to you anyway, every night, about her day, her job, her weird coworker, whether Theo left the stove on again. You become, against every expectation you had about the afterlife, someone's evening confidant. It's oddly nice. It's also, you begin to suspect, slightly strange, because Mara starts talking to you like you're not just a ghost, but like you're a specific ghost, like she knows something about you that you don't. This is where things get suspicious. You start noticing details. A photo in a box in the attic. An old photo, decades old, of a man who looks remarkably uncomfortably like you. Not your old body, a different you. An older photo than your death should allow for. Mara finds newspaper clippings in a drawer that came with the house. A man who lived here in the 1970s, vanished. No body found, no explanation. The article describes unexplained cold spots reported by the family who lived here after him. You start to wonder if you're not the only one haunting this house. You start to wonder if maybe you never were. One night, the lights flicker in a pattern you didn't make. The temperature drops in a way that has nothing to do with you. Mara sits bolt upright, terrified, staring at a corner of the room that isn't the corner where you usually stand. There's someone else here. You don't know how long he's been here. You don't know if he was here before you, or if he arrived after, drawn by the same house, the same strange gravitational pull that traps things that shouldn't linger. You try to communicate with him the way Mara tried to communicate with you, flickering, nudging, the pathetic vocabulary of the recently dead, and you get nothing back except the unmistakable sense of being watched by something that has been watching a lot longer than you have. Mara starts sleeping with the lights on. Theo starts talking about moving. The cat refuses to enter the hallway entirely, which, honestly, at this point, feels like the most reasonable reaction anyone in this house has had. You realize, slowly and with mounting dread, that you don't actually know what happens to ghosts who linger too long in a house that's already occupied by something older. You don't know if there's a hierarchy. You don't know if he can do something to you that you can't do to him. One night, the temperature in your usual corner drops so fast the window frosts over from the inside. You feel something that isn't quite touch, but isn't quite nothing either. A presence, pressing in, testing the edges of the space you thought was yours. You don't run. You can't run, not really. But you hold your ground anyway, in the one corner of the one house you have left, and something, you don't know what, you don't know how, pushes back, just slightly, just enough to let you know. Not tonight. Mara wakes up the next morning and says nothing about the frost on the window. Neither do you, obviously, because you still can't say anything at all. But she looks at your corner a little longer than usual, and for the first time since you died, you understand something you never expected to feel as a ghost. You're not alone in this house, and you're apparently not planning on losing it either.